So let's go back. 2 Thessalonians. So now you see there's a gathering. There's a gathering, which is the rapture. We know that now because there's no gathering at the second coming. What is there at the second coming? There's judgment. And there's war. And there's a rod of iron and a sword where he's striking people. He's just gathering people here. We ask you not to be soon shaken in mind and troubled either by spirit or by word or by letter. We talked about that as if from us. As though we got here, we explained what the day of Christ is, the day of the Lord. Now he changes the subject. What is this? This is the tribulation. He goes from the rapture. And why is he doing that? Because some people thought they missed the rapture and they were being persecuted. And Paul had told them about the tribulation time and the persecution that's going to come because of it. Some of these people were dying. They were being put to death. So they thought that they were in the tribulation. That's why Paul is talking about both. Let no one deceive you by any means, for that day, that 7-year period will not come. And this is where we wanted to pick up. We started talking about this. So we had talked about all of that. It will not come unless something happens first. The falling away. The falling away comes first. What is that? Now, there's a lot of teaching, and it's false teaching, folks, that it's the church, members in the body of Christ, falling away. That's impossible. Okay? Number one, they are gathered already. They're not here. So it's impossible for them to fall in heaven. Second, this falling away is a very specific event. Let me show you what this is actually talking about. It's inside of the day of the Lord. So what's the context? The context is the tribulation. So when does the falling away happen? The falling away happens in the tribulation. And it's a very specific event. It happens first. And then he explains everything that precedes this or succeeds this right here. Explains what the falling away looks like and what happens as a result of this falling away. Let me show you. And this, folks, really is how you walk through and step through the Bible so you won't be confused. You allow the scriptures to interpret itself. Let's go. Now, the Antichrist came in, and we've seen this, that he is instead of the true Christ. And this is what leads to the falling away. We're in the tribulation. At first, the beast, the Antichrist, does not lay claim to being God, only the protector of Israel. There's your peace and safety. We went over that. We're not going back. He vanquishes all their enemies and causes them to feel safe. Hence, they fall for this deception wholeheartedly. But concerning the times, and we read this in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, you know for yourself that the day of the Lord, the day of the Lord, the day of Christ, so comes as a thief in the night. Did the rapture come as a thief in the night? No. The rapture was an ingathering. For when they say peace and safety, who is saying peace and safety? Who is the day? The day of the people who are on the earth. Did the church say anything about peace and safety? Nope. Jesus just came, took us out. We wasn't looking for peace and safety, friends. We were looking for Jesus Christ. Right now, what am I looking for? Am I looking for peace in the world? Am I looking for all the wars to stop? No. As a matter of fact, I'm looking for just the opposite. Why? Because that's what God said. God says there's no peace, says my God, to the wicked. Says it 3 times in Isaiah. Then he turns around and he says, as we get closer and closer to the end, people are going to become more and more wicked. And when people become more and more wicked, what happens? More and more worse consequences because of their wickedness comes upon the earth. How are you going to get peace out of that, friends? You can't. It's a false peace. And we've seen that. The false peace lead to sudden destruction comes upon them as labor pains of a pregnant woman, and they shall not escape. And we went through that. I walked you through those, so I'm not going back. Go back to last video, and you can rehearse that if you want. He even allows them to rebuild their temple in Jerusalem. Folks, right now, on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, there is no Jewish temple. Just a wailing wall for them. There's a mosque up there. There's even a little church. But there's no Jewish temple. You know what? In the 7-year tribulation, that's a temple. Not only is that a temple, the Jewish people are going to be doing sacrifices again. The Antichrist is going to, if they try to build that today, that's an all-out war, friends. But the Antichrist is going to come, and he's going to allow them to do it. Then he shall confirm a covenant with many who? The Jews, for 1 week. That 1 week we've seen over in the book of Leviticus is 7 years. If you want to know where that's at, go look at Leviticus chapter 25. God explains that the 25th chapter of Leviticus is what? It's all about the Sabbaths. With an S? Yes. Sabbaths with an S. Listen, folks, there's way more than one Sabbath that God gave to Israel. He gave them a Sabbath of what? Days. That's inside of the 10 Commandments, right? Then he gave them a Sabbath of weeks. Then he turned around and gave them a Sabbath of months. And then finally, he gave them a Sabbath of years. Who did that? God did that. Go look at Leviticus 25. Folks, if you're trying to keep the Sabbath, I only have one question for you. Are you keeping all the Sabbaths? You know, at the end of the Sabbath of years, 7 times 7, 49 years. What comes next? Next comes 50, the year Jubilee. You know what happens in the year Jubilee? Do you? You realize that you have to set everything free. You have to give up everything and just go back to what you had originally given to you by God. Are you doing that? No. At the end of every 7th year, are you still working? Because God told, and they were farmers and sheep herders and stuff like that. God told them not to work. Don't farm the land and just let the poor people go in and gather. And the widows and the orphans and all those people. Just let them go gather. Let whatever grows, and everybody just go have and share. Are you doing that? No. Then what are you talking about that you're keeping the Sabbaths? You're not keeping it. That's what's in the law. Anyhow, I'm not talking about that. So then suddenly the true nature of this man, the Antichrist, the beast, is revealed when he declares himself to be God. In lieu of being a worshiper, which he pretended to do in the first 3.5 years. He would visit the nation of Israel. He would go into the temple. They would allow him in. I don't know why, but they would allow him in, and he would worship. He's a Gentile, so they're not supposed to. But they do it because he's their protector. All right? And there's another part of this, okay? There's another part of this, and I'm going to show you when we get a little further down. And that he was a worshiper, and he was sent by God. The Jews have the same reaction to the beast that they had with Christ. They start rebelling against him. Now, here is the second half of this promise. He gives peace and safety first for 3.5 years. There's lots of terrible things happening. But look at this. He shall bring an end to the sacrifice and offering. This is coming out of Daniel chapter 9. So what's going to happen? He's going to allow them to build a temple. They're going to start doing the sacrifice and offerings again. At 3.5 years, something is going to change. He's going to put an end to it. And on the wing of abominations, I'm going to explain to you what he did, shall be one. Who's the one? The one is the beast, the Antichrist, who makes desolate. What does he make desolate? He defiles the temple of God by the abominations that he does. There's 2 specific things that he do. Paul explains it over in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Daniel don't explain it here. It's explained over by Paul in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. And that's where we're headed. Even until the consummation, which is determined, is poured out on the desolate. See, what in the world does that mean? That's exactly what Paul explained in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. And then God explained the rest over in Revelation chapter 19 through John. So don't worry if you don't fully understand this. I'm going to explain it when we get there. We're on our way there. All right. Now, in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4 provides the details of this great falling away. So let's go just pop in, look at verse 4. All right, so we see in verse 3, let no one deceive you by any means, for that day, the day of the Lord, the 7 years, will not come unless there's an event called a very specific event called the falling away. It has to come first. Now, what events happen after that? Look, 1, the man of sin is revealed. How does this man of sin reveal himself? Look, Paul, it's explained by Daniel right here. This is how he did it. How do he reveal himself? He brings an end to the sacrifice and the offerings. And then on the wing of abominations, there's 2 specific things he does. He does inside the temple, inside the holy place. And he shall, this one, the beast is the one that's doing this. He's the Antichrist. He makes the temple, he desecrates the temple. Even until the consummation. So that's what he does. That's how he is revealed. Now, watch. Let's continue. So the first thing he does, first thing that happens at the falling away, is that the Antichrist reveals himself as against Christ or instead of Christ. You understand? He claims to be God. Watch. The son of perdition. Perdition means destruction. That word was only used, or that phrase was only used for 2 people. Judas Iscariot and the beast. What did he actually do? This man of sin, the Antichrist, this is what he does. He opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God. He goes around and that is worship. So that look at what he does. He sits as God inside of the temple of God in Jerusalem, showing himself to whom? To the Jews, that he is their God. That's one of the things he does. The second thing that he does, so this is one, I told you he did two things specifically. This is the first thing he does. He gets in the temple, he sits on the Ark of the Covenant, and he sits there as if he proclaim that he is God. Israel's God, the God of heaven and the God of earth. The second thing that happens is done by the false prophet. So the false prophet does one thing, and the man of sin does something by himself. He proclaims to be God, and the false prophet does the second thing. And we're going to show you what the second thing is in just a little bit. Okay, now look. So that's what we're talking about. So verse 4, we just looked at the details, gave us what actually takes place when the falling away happens. So it's very specific to this particular event. He opposes the true God of Israel after he pretended to be one of the children of God. So what is it? The falling away is a one-time singular event committed by the man of sin when he declares himself to be the one true God. So what is the falling away? The Antichrist is the one who falls away because he was pretending to be a servant of God. He falls away from the faith of Judaism to his own faith, claiming himself to be God through the abomination of desolation. The first thing he does is he goes into the temple and he sits on the Ark of the Covenant, the throne of God, and claim to be God. That's the initial wing of abominations. But how many wings do a bird have? 2. So it can't be one thing. It has to be 2 things. The first thing is he claimed to be God. Okay? Let me show you the second thing. We ain't not there yet because we got a lot of explaining to do about this part right here. But I'm going to show it to you. You keep this in the back of your mind while we go through this first event that he does.